Mr. Speaker.
Stephen Browning.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this bill is the thin edge, the setting up of the selling out of the Fonterra Cooperative and its family farmer members. So the Green Party will not be supporting this bill. This bill is the dairy farmers' poor cousin of the mixed ownership model bill that is set up to privatise state assets. This Dairy Industry Restructuring Amendment Bill, so-called Trading Among Farmers, TAF, its provision allows outside investors in to trade on the dividend stream of Fonterra farmer members and begins an inevitable demutualisation of Fonterra and increased foreign control of New Zealand's primary industries. We already have much foreign control in New Zealand primary industries, particularly timber. We do not need more in the pastoral area. This is actually not trading among farmers. This is actually trading against farmers, nothing less. And even if TAF is not agreed by Fonterra's farmer members, and they have not been well informed by their executive, so even if TAF is not agreed, the milk pricing and so-called fair value share regime sets the scene for the rot to set in to Fonterra devaluing family farmers' worth. Fonterra, the cooperative of 10,500 New Zealand farmers, representing 3% of global dairy production and 25% of New Zealand's export earnings, and some 19.9 billion in revenue according to Fonterra, has got the greedy looking at how to get a slice of the action, albeit that some are actually insiders. This bill has suffered from poor process, with the Fonterra executive pushing a willing government into rushing legislation through a rushed select committee submission and hearings process. And now, this reading of the bill, while farmers are actually in the middle of voting if they even want this version of the runaway Fonterra executive's plan for bringing in outside investment and influence. The DERA bill should not be before Parliament at this time. Independent expert advice and informed responses that show serious flaws in the trading among, or arguably trading against farmers concept, are still being circulated as we speak among decision makers, including farmer shareholders and members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the Green Party points out again that the limited time given to the Select Committee and the farmer members of Fonterra, the limited access to full information from Fonterra, or the time for more expert discussion and advice, and the subsequent difficulty in exploring the nuances of the bill, especially considering its complexity. But let me reassure the House, Mr. Speaker, and you well know that the Select Committee did spend dedicated time on extended hours to hear many and often substantive submissions and advice, and a reasonable time on deliberations. However, the information available for the Select Committee was never complete, nor was there opportunity for farmers to submit to the committee on the information circulated very, very, very late in the process by Fonterra to them. Fonterra has tried reselling the TAF concept, trading amongst or against farmers concept, on the basis of redemption risk. That is, the need to be buffered against an outflow from Fonterra of farmer members to other milk processors or land use choices, and the need to pay out their shares on their exit. Redemption risk, we will come back to that. The Minister said just today that this bill is about allowing free access in and out of Fonterra by farmers and to allow free competition in the dairy sector. That is clearly setting a scene for his friends, including ex-front bench national colleagues and the independent processors, to have less competition from the most successful farmer cooperative we have known. Primary production cooperatives, or single desk type collectives work to advantage for their members to ensure the best returns for their farming or sector production. Fonterra has been a good example of this, and Zespri, while not a cooperative but a producer collective, is another, particularly evidenced by their management of export sales. NZA, as Apple and Pear Marketing Board was, however, is an example of where deregulating and fierce competition, including outside investment, blew that sector apart and can no longer be considered a successful export sector to the level that dairy and kiwi fruit are. This DERA bill also missed an opportunity. DERA includes provisions that can influence land use, land price, commodity trading or value adding. It may have been designed to reward best environmental practice also. The focus of the bill on the efficient operation of dairy markets in New Zealand missed an opportunity, and it fails to allow those broader gains, such as organics. And Fonterra has already dropped 50% of its organic producers, certainly in paying them any form of premium from its organic program, due primarily to what they consider inefficient milk pickup runs and processing plant operations. What's inefficient? The unsustainable production is inefficient. Larger volume independent processors show no sign of picking up what can be seen as more environmentally sustainable production. Efficient is primarily a term used for volume-based production and marketing. It does not address long-term economic efficiency, that being sustainable production. The dairy industry has presented to me how they want a 10% lift in production while holding their environmental footprint to the status quo, as though that is okay. Well, Mr. Speaker, that is not such a fantastic outcome when the status quo in environmental outcomes is seriously way below par, and this bill could have included drivers that will have focused on value adding on farm through certifiable sustainable production such as organics, not further commodification for outside and more often than not foreign interests, making New Zealand farmers peasants in their own land. Some consultants suggest it may take 15 years for the breakdown of Fonterra following the cracking of this cooperative nut. But I suggest, Mr. Speaker, that the vested interests of disloyal Fonterra board and management and the outside investors, that demutualisation will occur much more quickly once TAF trading or wildly fluctuating share values and milk pricing chips in. We all need to remember that TAF, as proposed in the bill, has had an evolution from origins that intended open stock exchange listing. Fonterra's push for TAF follows that, and TAF maintains as much of that as Fonterra's executive, government and officials think they can get past the Fonterra farmers. That does not fit the cooperative model that has allowed the success of Fonterra to date. Fonterra have said they need to move to achieve the capital to allow offshore farm and infrastructure development. Then they say, no, that's not what we're saying. It is to cover redemption risk. It is very easy, Mr. Speaker, to doubt the veracity of the Fonterra executive statements. Spin, fact or fable, whatever the statements, the real need for TAF as presented to the Select Committee is in part contradicted in its complex communications to its farmer members. Mr. Speaker, many submitters pointed out that buffering for redemption risk can be achieved by other means, such as a retention policy that has already been shown to be successful in accruing significant capital. And figures show that retentions taken from 2008 have managed any redemption risk, and in fact 438 million was taken in 2010, was retained, and another 487 million last year. Effectively $500 million a year can be retained, and Fonterra is saying that they need to do this smart thing of letting outside investors in for redemption risk. That is clearly not the case. I'll just point to Mr. van der Heyden and his friends who seem to have gone for a walk from their members. They've certainly alienated their members. But their very latest missive, and they are pushing very, very hard.
Order. Member's time has expired.
Thank you.
Colin King.